Hi. So today I want to talk to you about the question you're probably asking yourself, why did this happen to me? And really, we'll talk about who gets into burnout, why that happens, and if you're in burnout, why you haven't been able to fix it so far. Of course, there's many external factors that herald burnout. You know what they are: lack of autonomy and agency is a headliner, poor quality leadership, lack of common purpose, lack of community, pressure-driven work systems, competitive employee assessments, mass disengagement of workforce, takeovers, financial pressure and business failure, an antipathetic boss, a lack of HR support or training, unsupported bureaucratic systems, unrealistic time pressures, lack of success criteria, or maybe a shift in role definition, and often a requirement or expectation to be available 24/7. And let's not forget COVID. So sometimes as well, the job you signed up for just isn't a great fit for your talents, or it's evolved away from your zone of genius or your interests. But beyond that, it also takes you and the habits you have that lend themselves to burnout. So let's look at who gets burnout. The kind of people who get into burnout are intelligent, smart, talented high achievers, typically very high-driven, ambitious go-getters, people who can fix any problem and perform consistently at a very high level. The thing is, these people tend to be very demanding, impatient, and have a low tolerance for both inefficiency and failure. They want things done right the first time, fast and flawless. They're perfectionists and people pleasers, yes men, often very charismatic. They tend to rack up a long list of qualifications, skills, and experience that are the envy of other people. But don't get in the way if you're not at their level, as they can also be very aggressive. So, they're the go-to guys, the fixers. Nothing is beyond them until one day something goes wrong and the magic momentarily deserts them. They hit a big bump in the road, a personal, family, financial, or career crisis, maybe. Perhaps they experience major illness or accident, or maybe they get divorced or lose a loved one. Could even be a family member that takes a turn for the worse. Or they lose their job, or their job changes in a way that no longer suits them and their expertise, or there's a takeover, or the organization goes bankrupt, or they're laid off, or the professional system they work within, always complex and rigid, starts to veer off into over-regulation, and that hampers them serving their calling in a way that they'd like to. So all of that often happens in very structured and analytical sectors, industries, or roles, and examples might be medicine, law, finance, wealth management, accounting, STEM, anything science, technology, engineering, and math, big business, startups, construction, military, sometimes the media, and roles are typically at the director or management level, C-level, or entrepreneurs. So you got a picture, kind of capable, driven high achievers, and my shorthand for that is type A personality. And of course, yes, I am one of those. So these are the kind of people who are going to keep pushing themselves until they have a heart attack. Hand up for that one, or a mental health challenge, or crash their cars, or something major. And in their quest for ultimate success, they find their own break point, basically, because you know what you get if you keep bashing your head on a rock? You get a hole in your head, right? The World Health Organization classified burnout in May 2019 as an occupational phenomenon, not a medical condition, you notice. They put it this way: burnout is a syndrome conceptualized as resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. It's characterized by these three dimensions. Number one, feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion. Number two, increased mental distance from one's job, or feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job. And number three, reduced professional efficacy. So basically, we get tired of being pissed off with work and we stop being successful. But notice they say chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. And I would counter that not only has the stress not been successfully managed, it's actually been deliberately provoked and extended, willfully increased. It's almost, in our place, an act of defiance from us because we're the invincibles. So we place really high demands and expectations on ourselves. And of course, we usually meet them. So then we just yank the bar up. And we keep doing that repeatedly until we can't anymore. So it's my contention that burnout's an inside job, because otherwise everybody would have it. It's characterized by one main dimension: disappointment. We're never satisfied with our own performance, so we just keep pushing harder. And that's why once you're in burnout, you can't get out. It might be episodic, but it's also degenerative, worsening over time and continuing often until collapse. Because the habits get you into burnout won't get you out. Throwing more firepower at the problem will not solve it. It is the problem. So, I mean, it's easy for me to say, but I got into burnout the same way you did. My performance never satisfied my own impossible standards. I felt besieged. I tried to fix it, and I basically overworked until I popped. So I'm talking to you about this today after years of hoovering up ideas and research from other burnout experts and medical experts. And I really wish I'd known all this in 2017 when I was in burnout, but I didn't. All I knew was I was broken. It was over. It scared the daylights out of me, because if I didn't have massive work success, what on earth did I have? Who on earth was I? So let's look quickly at one of my clients and why he was in burnout. Here are the signs that he had. And I'm just going to make a big list of them. Firstly, he needed an empty inbox to feel okay. He felt compelled to respond to messages anytime he was actually awake. Yet he procrastinated and avoided difficult tasks. He wanted to control all the work processes himself rather than delegate. And his own work system was largely paper-based, so he was a real bottleneck. He never turned away a customer or a job, suitable or not. He underquoted work to avoid displeasing customers, which meant his team couldn't stick to timelines. If customers made change requests to live projects, he always tried to squeeze them in. He constantly juggled overstressed workers between projects. He fretted about mistakes and delays, imagining the customers wouldn't tolerate them. He worried that customers would leave bad reviews on Google and sink the business. Team errors made him very angry, yet he also feared having to lay staff off. Worry took over his evenings and weekends, and he didn't sleep at all well. He wasn't satisfied he was doing his job properly. And he also wasn't really present to his family the way he wanted to be, because he never stopped thinking about work. He constantly wanted to quit the business, just walk away, never look back. And the result was he was depressed, anxious, overwhelmed, exhausted, irritable, and frustrated. He felt hopeless, trapped. It didn't have to be that way. And by the way, after we worked together, he had a massive turnaround. He started to love his work again, perform better than he ever had, and get the financial success that comes with that. But I can really relate to a lot of his experience from my own burnout. So to recap the question then, why did this happen to me? Well, I know there are external factors contributing to burnout, but if they were sufficient to cause burnout, then everybody at an organization would have it, wouldn't they? Which I don't find to be the case. Essentially, I see the conditions of burnout as pushing super hard to achieve, never being satisfied with our own performance, so pushing even harder. And eventually we become exhausted, demoralized, and have a flame out. At which point, do we choose to take care of ourselves? No, we've still got the whip in one hand, right? And sometimes the last straw is some adverse life or family event, or sometimes chronic stress alone pushes our body and mind to break point. But in any case, we're forced to confront our own human fallibility and limitations, and it shatters our self-image as the fixer. We feel like we've failed as a man. The broad shoulders just weren't broad enough, and we crash. So that's basically how I see the internal driver for burnout. And what we'll do next time, we'll look at why I'm here even now telling you about all this, what I discovered about fixing burnout. And for those of you who can't bear the suspense, all of you probably, here's the spoiler. Burnout can be fixed easily, quickly, and reliably. Fix it once, get your mojo back, stay out of burnout forever, and go on to be super performant and love your job again. So if you're in professional burnout, you already have all the skills and attributes to recover. I can show you how, and next episode, I'll begin talking about the solution. If you need help now, stay on for the link at the end. Thanks for listening today. Really appreciate you being here. You can visit my website at dexrandall.com for the show notes, and please subscribe and rate this podcast.